From Miller Waldrop Studios, this is Campus Live.
What's up, Campus Live fans? It's Lane here in the Miller Waldrop Studios today to bring you another edition of the Blazin podcast episode number 17. Pretty crazy, Logan, number 17. As always, though, I'm one of your hosts here, and of course, got my co-host with me, Mr. Logan Wilson. Logan, how are you doing on this beautiful Thursday here in Lubbock?
Great. Like you're talking about 17 episodes. This is our 17th episode. It's crazy. You know, I've been in and out, so we guess Jet on here a couple of times. But, yeah, it's good to be here, and another great week for Texas Tech athletics, as well as some news to probably talk about, hopefully some more in the coming days as well.
Yeah, it's been a jam-packed past couple weeks for Texas Tech sports. Obviously, March Madness now in the Final Four, the MLB now in full swing, and obviously spring football for Texas Tech and other schools is in full swing right now as well. NFL draft talk really ramping up here in the month of April now. We'll have a really cool segment on that later. Just make sure to stay tuned for that. But first, you know, like we always do in the beginning of these episodes, we just wanted to thank every single one of y'all for following and subscribing or wherever you're seeing any of our content, and make sure that you like and subscribe or follow on all of our social media platforms. And we wanted to also thank our sponsors for the Guns Blazin podcast with Roof Masters of Lubbock. Fans, with storm season now in full effect here in the month of April, make sure to check out Roof Masters of Lubbock if you have any type of roof damages. And we also want to thank our sponsors with JSI Services and the Exceptional Community Hospital here in Lubbock. Logan, in our first segment here, we're going to kind of recap, obviously, Texas Tech, their basketball season. The last time we were on, I think it was for the Big 12 tournament whenever Iowa State, we were about to play them. We'll discuss Texas Tech, kind of recap their season first before we really dive into the other March Madness games. You finished 23-11. Obviously, we all know JT Toppin, he went down with that injury in February, and the season wasn't the same. You know, literally a few days before then, we had just beaten now a Final Four team in Arizona on the road, and it looked like we could maybe go on another run to the national championship, Logan. They make it to the round of 32. You know, I'll give them the credit of, you know, they did win a tournament game without JT. That's a pretty big accomplishment. He's the best player in the country, but unfortunately you ran into an Alabama squad that absolutely ran you off the court, and it was, for what happened, you know, to JT, I think, you know, winning a tournament game is a success for the rest of this team. Unfortunately, Christian Anderson kind of got hurt as well, so he wasn't 100% in the tournament either. But, man, it's a season of what could have been, Logan.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you ran into a buzzsaw. The tide rolled all over them, and it was bad. The game was not close, but like you said, you won a tournament game without JT Toppin, one of the best players in Texas Tech history that we've had here. A tough injury, but yeah, a season of what ifs. You know, you beat, you know, Duke, who was seconds away. We're going to talk about that in a minute. From making it to a Final Four, you beat Arizona, and then Houston, another Elite Eight team. You know, you had some huge wins, and yeah, this team looked like it was on the trajectory of making a huge run back to at least the Elite Eight. You know, but you get eliminated in the round of 32, and now there's a lot of question marks heading into the offseason, and we'll talk about the transfer portal here in a little bit. But, you know, it was a great overall season, but just a tough end to it. You know, the last 2 months were hard for this team.
Yeah, you know, if Duke would have won that game versus UConn, you would have been 2-1 versus Final Four teams. I think that just speaks to how tough our schedule was, especially non-conference. You know, Purdue, another one of those Elite Eight teams. You know, they play Arizona, they lose. More than half of the Elite Eight we played at some point this year, and we beat Houston also. So, it just speaks to, you know, what the ceiling of this team was with JT Toppin. And, you know, unfortunately, when you lose a guy like that, as much as he was contributing, especially obviously on the offensive end, but I think we really missed his presence on the defensive end as well, being that rim protector. And then obviously on the offensive end, we didn't have any dynamic. Everyone knew we were shooting threes. You know, it wasn't, we couldn't go inside, unfortunately. You know, Josiah Mosley did have a really good game versus Akron, but That was versus, Akron, not, and, when you play a team of quality like Alabama, we missed JT so bad in that game. The offensive rebounds that we gave up, it was just unfortunate, because JT should have been there, and this team had a lot better of a ceiling, Logan.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you're right. You played Alabama, and at one time you were getting out rebounded by 20 in the first half. You're never going to win a game, much less an NCAA tournament game against a team that ended up making 19 threes in the game as well. So that also didn't help, but the game was pretty much over in the first half.
It was.
But you have some guys that, when you lost JT, the team was built around him and Chris, and teams took away Christian Anderson even when JT was there, but you had JT to kind of be that paint presence and kick out for Donovan Atwell and guys like that, but you didn't have that once you lost him, and you saw some of the other guys take some steps back. But Josiah Mosley, one of the bright spots of losing JT, he proved himself as someone who could play alongside him, hopefully in the future. A lot of uncertainty on when JT will play, I'm assuming he'll be here in Lubbock, but it's the transfer portal. You never know. Josiah may or may not be back. So, yeah, it was just a season of, what could have been, and we'll never know.
Yeah. And, kind of as we shift our focus really from Texas Tech, this March Madness, it's been a great one. It started off, this is a pretty crazy stat that I found, that for one of the opening days, the favorites went 16-0. First time that had happened since 1992. So transfer portal and NIL kind of speaks on, you're not really seeing those big upsets anymore. Obviously, you did see High Point win and VCU beat, North Carolina, but North Carolina not having Caleb Wilson. And then, High Point, they're not a normal mid-major. They went to the wire with a really good Arkansas team until the very end. So even though they did beat a good Wisconsin team, that was really the only big true upset, I guess, so to speak. I know, Texas, they obviously beat Gonzaga, but Texas is Texas. That's not a mid-major, and honestly, they kind of dominated Gonzaga in that game. So it's been an interesting March. Obviously, I think, in my opinion, the biggest upset was Iowa beating Florida, Logan. Unfortunately, I had Florida in the national championship. I don't know about you, but I was pretty upset when Iowa knocked off Florida.
Yeah, I had them in the Elite Eight. I had them losing to Houston.
Yeah.
Obviously, that didn't turn out well either. So, but Iowa, man, Ben McCollum, that dude that's a coach, and Bennett Sturts is an NBA guy, and they showed Florida inconsistency in the guard play. It hurt them again, and for as good as that front court is, probably one of the best front courts college basketball will ever see. Ruben Chimilu did not have a great game, and it's just that's the NCAA tournament, right? You have a bad game against a team that's of Iowa's caliber. A lot of people overlook them. And they came out and they put it to them, and a big time shot at the end. And then some weird comment after from Todd Golden about we are actually going to foul them. You were up 2, you're going to put them at the free throw line to tie the game so that you could win it at the. I don't know. I think you just play normal defense maybe, and you just probably don't give up an open 3 in the corner. Yeah. But to each its own. As maybe he's the next North Carolina head coach. That would fit. But. Yeah, that was probably the craziest game. I mean, I take that back. Not craziest game. Craziest, win over a lower seed. Craziest game was a couple days ago with UConn and Duke. Another collapse from the Duke Blue Devils. Our guy Will was at the game.
Yeah.
He got to see the meltdown of John Shire and Caden Boozer, not Cam Boozer. Cam Boozer with the spinning layup to put him up 3. I was like, this game's over. This game's over. Driving layup, and then the play of all plays, Mullins, freaking 35-footer, man. What a game.
That was crazy. That was one of the best college basketball games I think I've ever seen. And Duke, I mean, they did it last year too against Houston. They were up 20 points, 19 points or whatever, and, Houston comes back and beats them. And, that was a team, and I thought this Duke team, obviously one of the most talented teams in the country, but, last year having Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple. I mean, those
Malawatch, man, they had everybody out there.
They had everybody, and they still, couldn't get across the finish line. And really for Duke, they had a scare versus Siena in the round of 64 matchup, and then St. John's played them really well. Honestly, I'd probably say St. John's outplayed them. Duke just ended up winning that game. But I thought too also before we kind of really fully dive into Duke UConn, this tournament's been dominated by the bigs, and by the bigger teams. I would say, Arizona, they've won every single game in this tournament by at least 12 points. Michigan's won it by at least 13 points, and 3 of them have been by 20 points or more, including beating Tennessee by 33 points. That's just crazy. And Tennessee's a big team too. Like they are the best offensive rebounding team in the country, and Michigan just blew them off the floor. It was interesting to see Illinois upset Houston too. I thought Houston had their worst offensive performance of the whole entire season in their biggest game. Something you rarely see from a Houston squad led by Kelvin Sampson. But man, this Elite Eight, that game with UConn and Duke was, just full melt from Duke. Being up 19, UConn kind of in a similar way, like they really couldn't get anything going except for Terrace Reed, and to see them come back the way that they did, they were 0 of 18 from 3 until the last 4 minutes of the game, and then that Damari hit a 3, and then Caravan hit a 3, and then obviously Mullins hit the 3. But man, that was just insane, Logan.
Oh, it was. It's it's unworldly how they won that game. That is not a game you're supposed to win.
No.
That is Dan Hurley at its finest. You love him, you hate him, doesn't really matter. He doesn't care. He's gonna he could potentially be in the national championship again. One thing with the way the bracket's set up, 2-1s, probably the 2 best teams in the tournament playing each other in the Final Four to get to the national championship. That sucks a little bit because those are, in my opinion, the 2 best teams in the entire country. But shout out to Caleb Foster for Duke, breaking his foot just 2.5 weeks ago and playing.
He played a lot.
Played a lot. Played 20 minutes in the first game back, and then, more extended minutes against UConn. And he didn't look, he looked like, I'm sure he was hurting, but he was playing pretty well. He had a really good game in the Sweet 16. And then the video of him as soon as he gets off the court on his scooter, scooting to the locker room because he couldn't put any more weight on his foot. That is, shout out to him. It wasn't his fault for the loss.
No. Yeah.
It was just, it was a bad execution down the stretch. And that's what I want a question for you. If you are Caden Boozer in that situation, you get the ball, you're getting double teamed. Are you throwing that pass down the floor, or am I just going to take the foul? Even if I miss both, they got to go, 94 feet to score the game-winning bucket.
At that point, after it, I think the time had gotten knocked down to about 6 seconds.
Yes.
As the point guard, you got to have that situational awareness where just take the foul right there. You're not going to get a 10-second violation. I understand what he's looking at because if he makes
it's wide open down the floor, game's over.
The game's
Ball
over.
Game.
Yeah, they go get a free dunk or they just go dribble in the corner. The game's over. But it's just too much to risk, especially when he's not the biggest guy in the world, and both I think it was Caravan and Reed that blocked that, or might have been their small forward, but. That's just not the smart basketball play. And John Shire was telling him to pass it. So he was listening to, his coach in that situation, but got to have better situational awareness than that, especially when it's basically impossible to get that 10-second violation. Just crazy. For Mullins to hit that shot too, he passes it away, gets it back, and he didn't even think about it from basically half court. And one of the cleanest swishes you'll ever hear, and the rest is history, Logan.
Yeah, I think it was crazy. He passes it to Caravan, who's the guy at UConn. The 6-year senior just made a huge 3 just a possession before, and he passes it back
to the freshman,
and he drills it.
Yeah,
that's just that team. Then they got a lot of trust in each other, and they find ways to win, and Duke finds ways to lose.
Yeah,
you see all it with Texas Tech. They found a way to lose. Yes, Texas Tech and Christian Anderson. He had a huge second half. But even if Duke plays semi-decent, they still beat Texas Tech in that game. North Carolina, at North Carolina, another 10-plus point lead given up, and then they hit a game winner. I mean, it's just John Shire, he's a great coach, and he gets them to this point, but they're not the best at the end of ball games, and I think that's something that's going to have to be fixed because Duke fans are not going to be able to deal with another collapse like this next year when they have, 4 more top 10 picks on their team that just happen to emerge into top 10 picks.
Yeah, is it their last 5 losses that, they've all been up by at least, at least by 15
They've
points?
all been 95% win probability or higher in those games, and they've lost all of them.
That's crazy. And, those 5 games, I mean, they would be they'd be undefeated.
They'd be undefeated,
and
they would have won a national championship.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, I don't know. It's weird that it's happening to them, like you said, because of how talented they are every single year. And I do think John Shire is a phenomenal head coach.
100%.
So I don't know what is happening at the end. I don't know if in the at halftime when they're up big, if it's like, oh, like we're relaxed or whatever it may be. But the fact that it is happening, and it's happened now 2 years in a row, especially like I said to last year's team. The 2 guys leading the Rookie of the Year conversation in the NBA right now, and that's not even including the other guys they had on that team. It's just it can't happen at Duke.
No, it can't happen at Duke.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Can't happen at Duke. Can't happen at North Carolina technically. I mean,
and it's been 10 years since they've won a championship too.
Well, look at 100%.
Yeah.
I want to kind of move over North Carolina. Another a collapse there as well.
Yeah.
They collapse and lose. Hubert Davis is now out at North Carolina. I think that was the only decision that they could make, and they, for the first time, look like they're going to go outside of the North Carolina circle to hire a head coach this year. So we'll see what happens with them.
Yeah, I wonder, and you've heard all the rumors about Tommy Lloyd and Dusty May and, everything that has been rumored, like with Billy Donovan as well. It's, I don't know. I wonder if it affects Arizona at all with Coach Lloyd. And I know that, college sports nowadays is so different, especially with the transfer portal. Every single season you have basically a whole entire different team. So, maybe they just don't care. Like, most of them are going to be there next year anyway. But you got to think, I mean, if your coach is being rumored that heavily to a job, like, it's got to weigh on their minds at least a little bit, I don't know. Maybe it won't, but I think it's going to be interesting to see who they hire. I mean, you've even heard Grant McCasland be rumored to link to that job, just because of how good of a coach he is. I think that, I don't think Grant's going to take that job, but I mean, you never know in today's world of college sports. But hopefully, it's obviously not our guy. We love Grant, but I don't know. It should be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, there is a possibility, based on the rumors, that this Final Four matchup, winner keeps their coach, loser sends them to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Do we see Dusty May leaving Michigan to go to North Carolina, and it's all because they don't have a charter plane? Who would have known that that's what it takes to keep your coach in modern-day college basketball when their roster is who knows how much,
oh my gosh,
and you can't afford a charter plane? If that's how they lose their coach, then they deserve another Juwan Howard. That's who they should just hire right back. But no, I agree. I think that it would be tough for Arizona, but I don't know if I'd miss a Tommy Lloyd-less Arizona team. I don't want to play them every year. I don't think I mean, they are going to be elite for as long as he is there. But they just, the money at North Carolina that you can build a team with is second to none. It's a blue blood. I mean, I already heard rumors that Michael Jordan has already texted Tommy Lloyd about coming over there. I mean, I'm sure it's very, very hard to say no. But if he wins a national championship, I think it makes it a lot easier to say yes, and you could demand a lot more. And if they say no, then you do leave, because you have all the leverage at that point.
And apparently, just stuff you see on social media, apparently there's kind of a rift in between the relationship with him and the athletic director at Arizona. So you got to wonder if that's going to be a big factor in this, even if, they do go on to the national championship. But I don't know. North Carolina, like Logan said, they are, I mean, a top 3 job in this whole sport. It's like Alabama or Ohio State coming open in college football, you know.
Right.
But this Final Four, though, as we, you know, kind of preview it, it's we've been talking about it already, but, you know, Illinois versus UConn, you might be surprised to see that Illinois is actually favored right now in this game. UConn, obviously, they've won 2 national championships out of the past 3 years. Could be potentially their 3rd in the past 4 years if they win this game. I think this is going to be a great game. I think UConn's bigs versus Illinois' bigs. I think the guard play in this game is going to be key, though, and I do think it leans towards Illinois' favor with Keaton Wagler, Kylan Boswell, and Andrei Stojakovic. And they are favored, like I said, once again in this game. And their defense, Illinois' defense in this tournament has been amazing. They've taken a huge step forward. That was kind of the question mark heading into the tournament for them, and they have played amazing defense. I think that their bigs could present a great challenge to Alex Caravan and Terrace Reed. But, man, it just seems like Dan Hurley is just inevitable in March. And, you know, I know obviously they didn't make it last year, but playing Illinois, you know, a team that really hasn't been there in a very long time, UConn, they're used to this. They're used to being in this spot. Even though Illinois may be the more talented team on paper, especially at the guard position, I think UConn wins this in a defensive slugfest. I think Terrace Reed is the factor in here. I think that they win 69-66, and I think that they play for a potential chance for their 3rd championship in 4 years, Logan.
That is, yeah, you know, he is inevitable. When I look at this matchup on paper, you're right. I think Illinois is definitely the superior talent-wise, you know, but I think that the ability to stretch the floor with those 2 bigs in the Ivisic brothers, being able to pull Terrence Reed out of the paint a little bit more than we've seen in the last couple of games. He's been able to paint himself in the paint, rebound. Now, will they get in foul trouble? He has been at the rim. He has gotten a lot of foul calls. That could easily present a challenge. I just think that it's going to come down to, can Solo Ball and Silas Demery shoot the ball from the outside? They have Solo Ball coming into this season was one of the best shooters in the entire country. He has not looked like that. He had a couple early in the Sweet 16 game, a couple against Duke as well. You know, one late. Sorry, or Demery hit one late, I think. But Caravan, he hasn't shot the ball well either. They have not shot the ball well from deep, but Terrace Reed has been the driving force to all of their wins. Can they shoot the ball? If they shoot the ball, they beat Illinois. But I'm going to take Illinois in this matchup. I think Illinois has, like you said, ramped up their defense. It had been the problem for the last 2 months, and all of a sudden, as soon as the tournament hit, this is a whole different defensive team, and we know that Keaton Wagler can go for 40 if he needs to. Stojakovic, one of the best pure scorers, and David Mirkovic has been one of the most exciting players to watch. In one of the most, like, he is not going to jump out the gym, but he is going to do everything right, and he's what holds them together. I think that team, they figured out how to play together, and I think that this team is hard to beat. Yeah. It's going to be a fun one, though.
Yeah, I don't feel like great, but I just like
no, I get it.
I can't go against. I mean,
I want to go against Hurley. I want to go against Hurley.
Yeah, that should be an absolutely great game. But man, this game we're about to talk about, this might be one of the best Final Four games in the history of college basketball. This will be, in my opinion, the other game of the year. Michigan is favored by 1.5. Arizona is my national championship pick, and they've absolutely looked the part in every single game in this tournament. They've won, once again, every single game by 12 points or more. Their performances, especially versus Arkansas, almost dropping 110 points in a college basketball game. It's crazy. And versus Purdue, they stifled Purdue's offense so well in that game with their defense. Braden Burris, Jaden Bradley, Koa Pete, Karchenkov has played really good in the tournament. Obviously, Mo Krivas has done well. And then you have their guys, Toby Awaka, De La Rosa, and Aristote. They're just such a complete team. And when they are healthy, in my opinion, they are the best team in the country. But Michigan, man, right now they've won every game by 13 or more. And I know, obviously, for both of them, one of them was versus a 16 seed. But Howard was a decent 16 seed. They scored 80 points on Michigan, believe it or not. They took Tennessee to the woodshed, and Michigan is, I think, the deepest team in the country. They have 7 guys averaging over 7 points or more, and that's not even including LJ Kaysen, who they lost for the year. That would have been 8 guys over 7 points per game or more. And the games where they have lost this year, it's when they struggle from the outside shooting. But in this tournament, they haven't, and it seems that is rare. Obviously, they only have a couple losses this year. Don't feel great about this pick once again. I know that Michigan might be the better team right now. They are favored. Arizona is my national championship pick, so I am going to stick with them. Definitely a little worried about this matchup because Michigan they're even bigger than Arizona. They're massive, and I do think though that Jaden Bradley and Braden Burries are the better guards in this game. Even though Elliot Cadeau, he's played great, but I do think that Braden Burries is the best guard in this game. I think they might make some tough shots late, and I think Arizona, they win a very, very close one, game of the year type of game, 77-75 versus Michigan.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is like, one of those, this, like when you look back on this year, this was the national championship.
Yes.
It's very possible it could be. Don't get me wrong. They could easily lose to either UConn or Illinois. Like, it's the tournament. But, man, these are the two best teams, and they have been the two best teams almost the entire year, I believe. I know Duke, beat Michigan, but, Michigan obviously shot the ball extremely bad. This is game of the year, like you said. Like, this could be one of the best games in the last 10 years, potentially. Yes, I mean, I picked Arizona in my bracket as well, which has not done well this year, by the way. Last year I did really well. This year, oh, my Lord, not good at all. But this game, like you said, it's going to come down to Elliot Cadeau, in my opinion. Like, this guy at North Carolina last year could not hit the right side of a barn.
Yeah.
This year, he is shooting extremely efficiently, and in the tournament, he's been really, really good. Obviously, the scare yesterday, how is that going to affect him not traveling with the team? He'll be there later. I think he got there later last night, maybe today. I don't. But that's not something you want to hear when your starting point guard is in the back of an ambulance, whether it's just an allergic reaction or not. He's going to be the key to them. But then you have Yaxel Lindenborg, he is one of the best players in college basketball. And then you got Mara in the paint, who is just a beast. Him and Krivos might be the matchup of the year.
Yeah.
Those guys are very similar in the way they play. 7-1 and 7-3. Yeah, good luck watching that matchup down low. It's going to be fun. But, yes, I think that Jaden Bradley is one of the best closing guards in the entire country. The Big 12 Player of the Year, whether you like it or not. No, there's a lot of how is he the Big 12 Player of the Year. But look at what he's been able to do on the best team in the country all year. Braden Burry's one of the best freshmen. Koa Pete, another. I mean, they have it all, like you said. And I think Karchenkov, like you said, he's the guy that has brought them together. When he has played extremely well, they've dominated. Give me Arizona. I think they win by 5.
Wow.
Now, it may be on 3 free throws late,
but
they win by 5. I think it's going to be 80-75.
Yeah.
I had to think for a second. I was like, oh, 5.
I can't wait for that matchup. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Should be a great Final Four. And as we kind of stick on, the transfer portal with the college basketball topic, I kind of wanted to do, an exercise with you, Logan, as we really ramp this up. I'd written this article about a week and a half ago, kind of a prediction where you could see the roster play out. And now that I look at it, I did have, Leon Horner coming back as like a 6-man type of guy. He's gone. He's going to be entering the portal now. And I did have Jalen Petty coming back. And obviously that's still very much in the air. But it kind of seems like, that might be a difficult task for him to stay at Texas Tech. It seems like Josiah Mosley really might be the only guy returning from this roster besides potentially JT Toppin. Let's go position by position here, and we can go like portal or returner. So I'll just start off with the list of guys who could return.
Okay.
Let's start first with Christian Anderson. Do you think he will return or not?
Draft.
Okay. Lawan Watts.
Portal.
Jalen Petty.
Portal.
Josiah Mosley.
Return.
Luke Bangboye.
Portal.
Okay, Leon Horner, you already entered.
Portal.
Yeah. Nolan Groves.
That's a tough one. I'm going to go portal, but I wouldn't be shocked if he came back for one more year.
Mariel Akuntak.
Portal.
Yeah. Jazz Henderson.
Portal. I think that I love him, and I know the staff loves him, but he deserves to play.
Yeah.
The way that he's been a part of this team, he deserves to go play somewhere and then come back and join the staff when you're ready.
Latrell Hoover.
Return. Only because they redshirted him.
Okay. I'm pretty much, I think Anderson goes to the draft. I think Lawan portals. I think Petty now, I think he's going to portal. I think Josiah returns. I think Luke portals. Leon obviously already announcing. I think Nolan could return. I'll go ahead and say he returns. Akuntak, I think he's going to portal too, but we're going to get some bigs this offseason hopefully. But I think he's going to portal. Jazz Henderson, I think he might return
I would not be shocked if he did. I think that what he's been able to do for this program, he deserves to go play his last 2 years, and then he can come back. And we would open arms welcome him back, but let him go play because what he's been to this team has been a lot.
And then Latrell Hoover, I think he comes back just because of the red shirt.
Right.
But
I don't even know. I know he's a project big, and no offense to any of our project bigs, but I'm tired of project bigs. We got to go get an established big this year because if we are 300th in size next year again, I don't know if we win a game. I say that, not we're not going to win a game, but we are not going to be nearly what we could be if we went and got you get what I mean.
Yeah. And I think that could kind of take us to technically our injury report segment as we talk about roster management. Fans, it's time for this week's injury report presented by the Exceptional Community Hospital. And before we hop into this injury report, we want to take a moment to recognize the Exceptional Community Hospital as a proud sponsor of Campus Live and the Guns Blazin podcast. Be sure to visit their 24/7 state-of-the-art hospital and ER located at 6401 Spur 327 here in Lubbock. They accept all insurances and have short ER wait times. And once again, the Exceptional Community Hospital is proud to sponsor this week's injury report on the Guns Blazin podcast. It's the JT Toppin discussion. As far as returners go, I think he is going to return. I think that, there's been some rumors that, maybe he could come back by conference play or whatnot. I tend to think he rehabs next year and comes back for his senior season. So I will have JT coming back. Logan, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that you'd be doing him a disservice to bring him back and make him play next year. Because of what he's done for your team, he deserves a full run. Let him go a full season. Let him rehab to the fullest. Now, if for some reason we get a 5-for-5 change in college basketball and the NCAA, that changes things completely. You let him rehab. Yep. If your team is, if you're looking at a potential conference championship or a team that can get to a Final Four, you can bring him back for the last month, and it doesn't, no harm, no foul. Let him come back, But I think as of right now, we will not see JT Top until 2027, or the latter part of 2027. And I think that's probably the best for the team. It allows Grant to build his whole roster out. But yes, I 100% think he's returning. But nothing is 100% in this day and age of college basketball.
So based off of what we just did and said who would be leaving and returning, we can split the Jazz and Nolan thing. We'll say Jazz returns. How about that? Yeah.
All right, cool.
Maybe
works.
not. But
it could be a complete roster overall.
It could be. Yeah,
that's fine.
So we will need. Let's say Dakari Spears starts at shooting guard. Okay. Point guard. 2. We'll need 2.
2 point guards. I think one. Rumors are not. The McDonald's All-American could potentially be in Bivens. Okay. Could be. I think it would be. You'll be looking at some danger zone if you're starting him again, McDonald's All-American, great, but I'd love an established point guard at the 1. So I think him at the 2, him as a backup, but a portal guy is what you need at the 1.
And maybe Dakari Spears plays the 3 too, maybe
it could fluctuate for sure.
Yeah. So 2 point guards more than likely, 2 shooting guards. If definitely a Donovan Atwell replacement.
100%. Got to get a shooter at the portal.
We can stick Josiah Mosley at the what do you want, 3 or 4? 4, probably.
Yeah, I'd have to say the 4 because sticking him at 3, he hasn't shown anything shooting wise yet to warrant at a small forward position. It's gonna be. It depends on who's at the 5. Yeah. I think it really does. If you get a 7-footer at the 5 who can move and play, at the 4 is fine. If not, then 2 bigs and then you just go big.
Yeah.
Just play a big lineup.
Okay, so wherever Dakari Spear goes, as far as 2 and 3, he'll be a kind of a combo wing or whatever. We'll need a backup wing, right?
Yes.
JT Toppin potentially, barring his rehab process, probably going to be out for next year. So we need two power forwards.
Yes.
Latrell Hoover will be coming back, as far as that's what we think. 2 centers.
Yes. I'm thinking.
What is that? Is that 10, 11
I'm thinking
spots?
Yeah. Initially, when I was looking, I'm thinking at least 8 spots.
Yeah.
Like there's at least 8 holes to fill, depending on how you're going to look at your rotation. I'm thinking you're hoping to play 8 guys by the end of the year. So I'm thinking, yeah, you need 8 or 9 because you're having to bet that if you get 8 guys and you need 8 players, you're betting you hit on all 8.
Yeah.
And that is extremely hard to do in college basketball. And we saw it this year, We brought in a number of guys and we probably hit on 2 of them. That's no offense to anybody else, but you definitely 100% hit on Donovan Atwell. I think we hit on Josiah Mosley, not a lot to show for it. And the other guys were not what you thought when you brought in. So, yeah, it's extremely difficult and a lot of uncertainty. But I do think with Jalen Petty leaving, it opens the door for a lot of possibilities for this coaching staff. If he returns, you are limited a little bit at the guard spots because of his size.
Yeah, it should be really interesting. I don't know.
I'm nervous. Very nervous.
This is going to be probably the most active portal window in Grant McCaslin's tenure here at Texas Tech. So
a lot of money is going to be spent this offseason.
Yeah. And fans, that'll kind of take us into our Paving the Way to Victory segment. Fans, JSI Services is a proud partner of Campus Live. Be sure to visit their website at jsiservicesllc.com to learn about their asphalt/paving services, earth and dirt works, concrete and gutter paving, crack fill, seal coating, and stripping services. Thank you once again to JSI Services for their proud support of Campus Live and the Guns Blazin podcast. Logan, we're talking about it. What 2 things would make this a win for this portal cycle for Texas Tech basketball?
Oh, okay. Well, for one, a dominant big.
Yeah.
We need a 7-footer who can rebound and score in the paint. I would love, obviously a guy like Mara who can do it all. Those are very limited in the portal. That is number 1. Get probably 2 bigs. And then probably second is getting a all-American caliber point guard. Where do you find that? You could find that in freshmen. We've seen it a lot with these 4 or 5-star freshmen coming in and doing the job. But I'm thinking you got to get one of these. There's going to be a high major point guard that comes out. There's going to if that means getting Christian Anderson back, there it is, right there. That's a part of the. I mean, I consider him part of the retain or transfer portal because his uncertainty is so high. But you got to get all-American caliber point guard and 2 bigs. Very hard to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. That my first one in that article I wrote was the retention battles of Christian Anderson and JT. I think you got to win at least one of those.
Yes.
And then getting 2 bigs. You got to get preferably someone who is taller than 6'10" or 7 foot.
6'10" on paper ends up being about 6'8" when they come in the door. Yeah, got to be at least 6'11", 7 foot.
You've seen it just over college basketball. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I mean, UConn, they had Donovan Clingan and Caravan, and then obviously now it's Caravan and Terrace Reed. Illinois has their 3 bigs. Arizona has their front court that's massive. Michigan's massive.
Michigan got their 17 bigs that they bring in the game.
Yeah, it's just the way that, and that's not to say that elite guard play isn't a major factor in this, because it is, but you have to have 2 very high quality bigs, and to put 2 bigs potentially beside a guy like JT Toppin, that's when you were talking about a national championship roster, Logan.
Yeah, I think the game is reverting back to the way it was, 10 years ago when you played 2 bigs. We went through a stretch of 4 or 5 years where the team we built this year is hands down a Final Four team because of the guard play we had. But with the change in some of these elite teams being big and having guys that can do everything, these bigs are not just let me just sit on the block,
Yeah.
turnaround jumpers. Like these guys hitting post fadeaways, hitting threes. I mean, it's a different game, but you got to have size in this game, and we saw it. And Alabama didn't even have size.
No.
Like they were not a big team, and they still absolutely dominated us in the paint. They had one guy 6'11", and he just absolutely tore us apart. But yeah, I mean JT is our big, and he's what 6'10". On a great day, I think more like 6'8".
Yeah.
But he's great at what he does. But if you could stick a big next to him at 7 foot, good luck stopping us.
Yeah. Should be really interesting to see. And as we kind of shift our focus from our college basketball segment, Texas Tech spring football has really been ramping up here, and we've been able to be at practice and some of the media availabilities. And I'll say this team looks very, very talented whenever we go watch them in person. I mean, on offense, Brennan Sorsby, he looks like he's already a big dude. He looks like he's gained about 15, 20 pounds. He like really looks like a light version of Josh Allen out there. Like that's how big he looks right now on the field. Obviously, your playing weight is different from your spring weight. He just came off, off season where you're lifting every single day. Maybe he's about 5 to 10 pounds less as the season rolls around, but he looks amazing out there throwing to the wide receiver room. And the wide receivers right now, they are 6 to 7 guys deep right now, full of contributors. Micah Hudson looks amazing. Kenny Johnson looks great. Koy Eakin looks the best that I've seen him so far. They all look like they've just lived in the weight room this offseason. That's not even talking about the guys like Dante Lee, Malcolm Simmons, Jalen Jones. This offense with returning the offensive line that you are returning, bringing in a guy like Jordan Church, and then obviously our running backs. This offense should no doubt be top 5 in the country. And even though it's spring, I know it's really early to talk about who's going to be top 5, top 10, whatever, but this offense is going to be immensely talented, Logan.
Yeah, you brought in a lot of talent in the portal, and you got guys returning. It was a question mark before the season of what is the wide receiver room going to look like. And Micah Hudson, he has put on his muscle. He is big dude now, and that's what you got to be at the Division I level. And he looks like the guy we thought coming in. He's got to be the star this year. You got the running back, you got the tight end, but you got to have something on the outside that can take some pressure off the box. And he's going to have to be the guy. And you got some other guys on the outside that can do it as well. But he's the guy that I've X-Factored for. Now this is probably the second year I've X-Factored him. This has got to be the guy. And he's shown it so far.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Johnson yesterday actually in the media availability, and he talked about how sometimes, whenever they're in their meetings, he'll do Kahoot quizzes for his position room, and he said that Micah Hudson, whenever they do these quizzes, he actually finished first yesterday. Quizzes about the offense, and it's based off of how quick you can answer on Kahoot. Obviously, we've all played that in school.
Love that.
So that's great to hear too. That not only is he showing it on the field, but mentally as well, as far as the whole entire offense goes. This is the best he's been as a college athlete. He's finally fully healthy too. Man, I'm really excited for this offense, Logan.
Yeah, 100%. There were rumors that that he was having trouble picking up the playbook early. So to see him take that step and that jump to be the guy that we all expected and need him to be is a great sign for this team.
Yeah. And that's not even touching on the defense. Obviously returning guys like Ben Roberts, John Curry, BJ Jordan, and Bryce Pollock, and AJ Holmes, just so many guys, and then bringing in the transfers we did with, Austin Romaine, Trey White, Adam Trigg, you can go down the list. This defense, too, should once again be a top 10 unit in the country. I think that this team has so much balance offensively and defensively because, honestly, bringing in a guy like Brennan Sorsby on the offense and then obviously the transfers you brought in on the defensive side of the ball, this team, no doubt in my mind, is going to be competing for a national championship at the end of this year, Logan. And I know it's early, but on paper right now and at practice, they look really good.
Yeah. That's what you took the first step. You won the Big 12 last year. You went to a playoff. You didn't score a point. So now this year you are looking to take that next step. And if that next step is winning one playoff game, great. But we're looking to compete for a national championship, to get to the game. The Big 12 championship looking at your schedule in the preseason, you should no doubt get there.
Yeah.
And so once you get there, everything else is ahead of you. I think this team has all the talent in the world. We saw what they were able to do last year. And if the defense, it's just bound to take a step back because of how elite they were last year. But you don't have to be number one.
No.
If you can stay top 10 with what you brought in on the offensive side of the ball, that offense is going to be much better. Now you're able to be a balanced team and compete with, the top of the top.
Yep. And as we kind of stay on the football side of things, we wanted to do a fun segment today. We covered the NFL, as well, and we had a fun mock draft segment. We've been seeing, people do these all over the internet. It'll be kind of, I'll be evens, Logan will be odds. We'll go to around pick 15 or 16. And we're going to do it based off, if someone gets taken, then you got to shift your focus and draft another guy. So this should be a lot of fun. You ready to get started, Logan?
Yeah, I'll start it off here.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Raiders is pretty much a given. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana will be the first pick in this draft.
Yeah. Number 2 with the Jets. It's obviously going to be between Arvell Reese and David Bailey. They traded Jermaine Johnson. The Jets, they need everything, especially at,
everything,
especially at quarterback. But to me, that's next year's problem. I think that it's been long rumored they are in the market for a pass rusher here at number 2. Between David Bailey and Arvell Reese, I think the Jets go Arvell Reese here. And I think that David Bailey is the better player. He's a Red Raider. I think he's one of the best defensive players in this whole entire draft, maybe the best. I just think that the Jets like Arvell Reese a little bit more. And Aaron Glenn was here at Pro Day to see David Bailey and some of the other guys, really to see David Bailey. I hope they take David Bailey at number 2, but I think the Jets are going to take Arvell Reese at 2.
Yeah. I would agree. That's a good. And so it goes to number 3, Arizona Cardinals. Again, another team that needs pretty much everything. But I'm going tackle Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. I think he is the 3rd pick in the draft. They need something to help out this roster.
Okay, so number 4 here with the Titans. Once again, a team that needs a lot of help. They're bringing in Robert Saleh to be their head coach, bringing in Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator. I think with their young quarterback, I think they're going to want to get him weapons here. I could be wrong. They could go Sonny Styles right here. I think the Titans are going to look at either Jeremiah Love or wide receiver right here. I think you can live with their running back room right now. I think they go wide receiver right here. I think they take Cardinal Tate maybe a little bit earlier than people might imagine. The Browns at number 6 are in the market potentially for a wide receiver. I think the Titans go wide receiver right here. I think they pick Cardinal Tate. I think Jordan Tyson actually is the better receiver in the draft, but I think the Titans and some of these teams up top like Cardinal Tate because of his health-wise and because he's a bigger receiver. I think they take Cardinal Tate at number 4.
That moves to number 5, the New York Giants. And since the Titans passed on him at 5, the New York Giants take Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State, getting the captain of their defense with arguably one of the best front 4 in the entire NFL. You now have a linebacker behind him to lead that defense. I think that's going to be a big pick, and it's going to be a tough one as a Cowboys fan in the NFC East.
Well, we got to trade Logan.
Oh, man.
Actually, well, now that you took – okay, we got to trade. We got to trade.
You were going to trade up to get Sonny Styles.
The Cowboys are going to trade pick 12 and 20, get number 6 and 39 back for the Cleveland Browns. David Bailey is sitting right there at number 6. The Cowboys, they take David Bailey, and I think it could go either way here. If Sonny Styles is right there, if the Giants don't take him, if they were to take Caleb Downs, I think they would take Sonny Styles here too. I think the Cowboys now in our draft, Sonny Styles is gone. Arvell Reese is gone. They're going to go David Bailey right here and trade up and go get their guy.
I sent you this TikTok yesterday about this little thing them getting David Bailey, and I was like, I am all for that. If they could get David Bailey and keep him in Texas, man, I might have a jersey on the way. Number 7, the Washington Commanders. Man, they have a decent look on the offensive side of things, but in my opinion, they go Jeremiah Love.
Wow.
You pair him next to Jaden Daniels, another huge addition to the NFC East. I think Jeremiah Love is a perfect fit in that offense.
You took my pick, man. But I think that, Dan Quinn, he's a defensive-minded head coach. I know that they went out in the free agent market and they went and got some edge guys.
They could easily take a Ruben Bain.
Absolutely. And I think that's where they go here. I think they get Ruben Bain Jr. Wait, no, I was talking about.
You're on 8, brother.
Yeah, my bad. Now I'm with the Saints. Yeah,
they need just as much help. So
this I don't know what I was saying.
No, you're good.
The Saints take
good.
Ruben Bain Jr.
Yeah, no, perfect.
They could use Jeremiah Love, obviously. Alvin Kamara, he's on the very end of his career. Jeremiah would be a great fit with Tyler Shuck and their offense.
I could easily see those 2 picks flip.
Yeah,
100%.
But I think the Saints they go Ruben Bain Jr. Right, at number 8.
Moving to number 9, the Kansas City Chiefs. Based on the trade that was made just a couple of, probably about a month ago, they trade their star corner. They take Mansoon Delane, corner, LSU, to pair on that defense and get them a new lockdown corner on a rookie contract. I think that just makes too much sense on what they've done this offseason. They, all rumors early was Jeremiah Love at 9. They now do not need.
Yeah.
You got the Super Bowl MVP now on your team. No running back needed. They go Mansoon Delane.
Well, the Bengals, I had them taking Delane, but I think that they need help. They're another team. They need help everywhere. I think that right here, I think that the Bengals, they're going to go to Caleb Downs. I think that him being on the board, I think that wait, did I? The Bengals, the Bengals. I think they go Caleb Downs right here. He might be the best defensive secondary player here in the draft. They need help in the secondary if they don't get Delane. I think they get Caleb Downs right here.
Yeah, I like that pick. Moving on, number 11, the Miami Dolphins. God, another team that needs a lot of help. Oh man, Miami Dolphins. They can go a lot of different ways, but I'm gonna have them taking Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver, USC.
Wow,
they need a lot of help, and that just that can help them a little bit. But I just don't think there's an answer in Miami right now.
The Browns. So since the Cowboys traded 12 and 20, this will be the Browns here sitting at 12. They need offensive line help. Since Maui Noah is gone, I think they go Caleb Lamu right here from Utah. Once again, they need help everywhere. A lot of these teams are really struggling. And, the Browns, obviously, they could stick at 6 and take whoever right there. I think they go Caleb Lamu right here, get their cornerstone left tackle to potentially protect Shedeur Sanders, I guess, this year. We'll see.
I guess, on their path to the number 1 pick in the 2027 draft. I picked 13 via trade. I'm not making the trade. It's already been made. The Rams will be picking. Their pick was Atlanta's, so they'll be picking at 13. I think they take Spencer Fano.
Okay.
Tackle Utah. I think, you're going to have to get a new quarterback eventually. I do think they get a quarterback in this draft, but later, in Matthew Stafford, I know that they picked who they end up getting in free agency. They picked up someone, right, to back up.
I
swear they did.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
I don't.
I think
I'm
you're
all
right.
over the place thinking about draft
Yeah.
here. But they're going to have a quarterback when Stafford leaves. It could be his last year. If he's got 2 more years, you need someone to protect him. And I think Spencer Fano is perfect for that.
Yeah. 14. This is kind of the O-line kind of running off the board here. The Ravens, they desperately need O-line help as well. You lose Tyler Linderbaum in free agency already to an O-line that struggled. I think the Ravens go Monroe Freeling right here. Shore up that offensive line for Lamar Jackson, and
we got 3 tackles going in a row. That's probably what's
normally
going to
how it
happen.
works.
To be honest, it's probably more than likely. Moving on, 15, and it's the Bucks. You lose Mike Evans in free agency. They are not going to go wide receiver, in my opinion. I think they go Kenyon Sadiq.
Okay. Yeah.
Tight end, Oregon. They need weapons on that for Baker Mayfield. You lose one, you got some great pieces around him. You're trying to get over the 8-8 hump of winning the division at 8-8, but you need some talent. And we saw in the playoffs, he is a elite tight end.
Yeah. 16 here with the Jets. They need wide receiver help. Jordan Tyson is staring right in their face. They go Jordan Tyson right here. The Jets with Arvell Reese and Jordan Tyson together potentially, that would be a great haul for them, I think. And they need all the help across the field and to potentially build out their roster for drafting a quarterback next year. I think they go ahead and get them a wide receiver one in Jordan Tyson.
Yeah. So are we gonna want to go to 20?
That's fine. Yeah, we can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
17, we're looking at the Detroit Lions, another team that's had a lot of injury problems, all around. But I think they, it might be a crazy take, but at 17, I think they go corner. I think they go Jermon McCoy. I think they think they take the risk. The guy ran a 4.38 coming off ACL tear. I think they take the risk at 17, and they take the cornerback from Tennessee.
That would be if he works out. That's a steal. It's a steal to draft. Yeah, I think if the Cowboys stick at 12 and 20, that's Jermon McCoy is definitely going to be a guy of discussion for the Cowboys. But and this one, obviously, the Cowboys traded up. So at number 18 for the Vikings, I have them taking Peter Woods, defensive tackle from Clemson. The Vikings, they've lost a few of their guys on the defensive line to free agency the past few years. I think that they go with Peter Woods here, shore up their run game, and Peter Woods. Yeah.
Yeah. At 19, the Carolina Panthers. This one's tough for me. I think that they, again, another team that needs a lot of help, but I think they end up going Dylan Thieneman.
Wow.
Safety, yeah. Oregon. I think they need help on the defense. Yeah, in any way they can get it. I know that their needs are probably on the offensive side of the football. Yes, I think that. But I think that Dylan Thieneman is a guy that you can't pass up at 19. We saw the way that he's played at both Purdue and then at Oregon. But I do think if Dallas does not trade, I think that pick 20, that's where if Thieneman can drop to 20, Dallas is not going to let him go by. But in this draft, he goes 19.
Number 20, now this would be the Browns pick. This will be the last pick we discuss. They could have gone Jordan Tyson at 12. I think, though, that, how we had it go off for the offensive tackles go off, they wanted to kind of get ahead of their pack and get their guy. But at 20, they do go wide receiver right here. They go with Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana. He's really been rising up the draft boards here recently. Had a great pro day yesterday as well. I think the Browns, they need all the wide receiver help they can get as well, and I think they take Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana.
What a draft!
Yeah,
I think that's picture perfect.
You know what I was confused at is because the Cowboys traded.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I was looking at the draft order.
Trade,
yeah,
I mean, I saw a mock draft or a mock trade for something, and they did the Cowboys trading up to 6, and all they had to give the Browns was pick 12 and pick in their third rounder.
There's no way that happens.
If they do that, God bless the Browns.
Because
that I don't even know. The NFL would have to come veto that because there's no way that should be allowed.
Yeah. Should be very interesting as we kind of move towards draft season here in the next couple of weeks. Should be really, really interesting to see. And lastly, kind of our closing remarks. Texas Tech softball and baseball have some big series this weekend. Logan, you're the softball guy. What can we look forward to from our series versus BYU? Correct?
Yeah, BYU first game tonight. At 6 o'clock at home. Being at home is great, man. We're about to go on the road for 3 straight weeks, so we're going to enjoy this time at home. But BYU, scrappy team. They got the reigning freshman of the year in the Big 12 Conference, so their catcher. They've struggled a little bit this season, and so, we're expecting them to come out and give us a run for our money. We've played really, really, really good softball so far this season, so, Najee Kennedy on the mound tonight, hopefully. Obviously, I don't have that much insight yet. I'll know here in about an hour. But, yeah, so Najee Kennedy, come out and watch us. Caitlin Terry, the only player in the country that has at least 7 wins, is batting over 500 in the entire country. So, yeah, great players. And, baseball team, we saw Houston last night at Business Live. Houston baseball team decided to join us, whether they knew it or not. So that should be a fun one as well, fun series for them. Houston's had some big wins this season.
Yeah, Tech baseball, we all know they're going to hit the crap out of the ball. We're going to score 10 runs every game. It's just a matter of can we hold someone under 10 runs.
If you love offense, Get on out to Danlaw Field.
If you like old Big 12 style football, but on a baseball diamond, go to Danlaw Field and go watch the Texas Tech baseball team. Should be an exciting series. You know, they have played above expectations, I would say, than what a lot of people thought. Hopefully this is a series they can sweep. You know, Houston's not really known for their baseball very much, but they do, like you said, they have a win over Texas this year, so could be a decent matchup this weekend. But that'll kind of wrap things up here in the Miller Waldrop Studios. Thank you, fans, once again for tuning in every single episode, and we just want to ask that you make sure to follow us, like, share, and subscribe wherever you are seeing our content on Campus Live or the Guns Blazin podcast, and as well as thanking all of our sponsors once again for the continued support of Campus Live and the Guns Blazin podcast. And lastly, of course, remember that Campus Live is your one-stop news source for all things Texas Tech and Lubbock. Wreck 'em.
From Miller Waldrop Studios, this is Campus Live.